the agent pool for the guard. There's some slight changes, but once again, it's those comfort picks. But what I like the most is, can Net actually still prove that Killjoy is going to be viable despite this molly now that could actually go through walls from the KO or Gonzalez just cancel everything?
This camera angle, I thought that turret was on a wall I've never seen before. I was like, okay, we're already starting off with some new tech right now. But actually, we were just falling off the map for a second. Getting a ride up on the gondola to start off on Ascent here. Looks like a B tiles to A. We do see the Omen here for guard. One ways will be played. One ways will slow down Sentinels. That's the objective. But you're right. Will Killjoy work? We'll have to keep an eye on the KO and Killjoy utility interaction. Unkillable 0 point goes towards mid here as Shazam gets some pop shots from the middle of Cat here.
Nice little combo of utility as well on the attack to actually force Tens away with the rendezvous back onto Cat. So mid was forfeited for a bit, but we haven't taken control of anything for the guard yet. Still holding towards the link, trying to see if Ten's going to re-push out while he has the TP on cooldown. But we're just going to try to play it slow, find that timing. Well, there you go. Tens is back, Teleporter's back. Nothing's changed there for at least the chamber into this patch. Here comes the first utility off the refreshments. The 0 point clear out towards Cat.
Another dodge out. So a reposition again. They're reading the re-round of utility, as you were saying. Going towards door here. This could easily go back towards Cat. The push already in from Valen. And that may be the encroachment they need to get this positioning. And what a positioning move they have from Sentinels.
Break the door, force to rotate out. Tens gave up towards Garden, and now we're pushing it towards the A side, but it's Dapper! 2 kills with the Ghost on the back of the Jenny, lining up a third one with the wall bang, and that's Tens on the other end just to hold it back off the rotation. Net's on his own, on the lurk on mid, and that's going to be a prime giving flawless from Sentinels.
A few of the cleanest Ghost shots we're going to be seeing here throughout the tournament. Dapper has always been an amazing sight holder in the 1v1s, the 2v1s. He thrives in these positions. Here, this second, what is that second shot? Slowed down, it still seems fast, my man. Oh, and that one coming back through the Jenny gets a clip, and then the rest of it. I would be like, Tens, you took my fourth. That's basically what happened in my sight. But yeah, that is a statement round coming in from Dapper. You can't say much about it. Guard really tried to work the map just to get shut down coming through by Dapper.
And that's the strength as well of playing that triple initiator for Sentinels, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's a quick push outside the A main, and it's already spiked down off the grab well. That's going to be tough.
The read on the play, instant push. Shroud is on the Astra too, so that's the quick click practice honed in on that, and they even get their own one-ways from Shroud here to make sure they can gain a little bit of positioning.
Sam's just holding with the L drone back from the Garden, and that spots at least Silent Player on that Marshall. So they pretty much have all that information up on A on lock while that spike is still down. So a tough battle for the Guard to take this. So we'll take the time to talk about it at least. The triple initiator comp, it has been shown here by EG during stage 2. Retweaked and revamped as well by OpTic into stage 2, and now Sentinels is using it. And one of those moments of where you saw that second kill coming out from Dapper was just a nice little lineup to get the kill off a recon dart that came out from Shazam as well into the A side. So there's just going to be a lot of utility that's going to ping out your opponents. And if everybody's so focused on trying to take you down on aim duels, then you're going to be able to ping so many players on his retakes for Sentinels.
I mean, if you think about how VALORANT works and the way that it can be slow, if it's a slow game, information is king, right? And if you have more information to gain over and over, we see them recycling the utility. It becomes much harder to do anything in the dark, if you will, to have your opponents thrown off because they're already pushed up. They have extremity cover or utility cover in a certain area. Let's see what happens. This still the same setup coming from the Guard. I mean, tile coverage from KJ is a kind of a norm. Have a bit of a lurk. This is one of the first times Net will be by himself. We'll see how much they can provide over there with 4 playing towards Cat and Gelato. Sentinels set up a 4-1 here to start with 4 towards B.
Okay, a little bit of a TP on the top of the boxes, looking for some aggressive mid control with 2 riflers on the top. And that's Tens. Crosshair placement broken, and Valen punishes him for that by being on top of those boxes. One of those little tricks that you actually see here that we actually haven't seen too much from Omen players on this map of Ascent. That was a nice start.
Valen definitely finds a lot of comfort on Omen. clutch situations, first bloods. He's no stranger to any of those of the sort. A real big reason they were one of the #1 teams there. Fragging IGLs are a rarity. See that push towards B, though. It has been held by Nat. Seems like they want to get in. Nobody's really close to any ults. We're still so early in the game. But again, Guard try to play this time down, and Jonah finds 2. That's big news. They take him.
Tried to get something at least on the A side. The underhand throw actually did catch Zelsis off guard, but there was support from Shroud. But what that does is that they're on a bonus, so losing a little bit of a Spectre to allow the rest of them to get into the B site, we'll take that any day here for the Guard.
Absolutely. Easy in, easy plant. Let's see if they can get back out of the site here. It will help. Getting swarmed by all this utility will not be fun for Sentinels, and they'll know exactly how to use it. Doesn't look like they have much more than net just on the crossfire. See how Sentinels get in.
Excuse me, lost a rifle in the process. Not only a Spectre here because it's a gun round down for the Guard, and Shazam's looking for that retake for Sentinels. The wall bang onto Saya player as Net is hiding inside the smoke actually, and that allows him to get through the nebula on a timing because the Prowler didn't spawn him, but as he comes out, Dapper was waiting for him. Then Trent stays on the boxes for 2 kills, looks for the 3rd, but we continue with these trades. It's a 1 versus 1. We talked about VALORANT clutch, but it's not going to work out. Dapper gets the kill. And he's going to be able to get this defuse right here to make it 3-0 for Sentinels.
The dink as well. Not even a gun diff, just the placement of the crosshair. What a back and forth. And I said it come into the site, Vansili. Like, that's going to be so hard to hold. All that information ready to be gained by Sentinels. And we saw the first kill was through a wall. Trent doing Trent things at B. Almost a deja vu from him in this situation. But it comes up on Dapper's side, and they're able to get the defuse. Great round by Sentinels. They hold the bonus true, and they put Guard back on a low buy.
Now, this is some of the things that we see a lot from defender halves as well from the comps that you get. Usually the Smoker and the KO playing towards the A side. XSET with BCG and Def do a great job, but they have an Omen instead of an Astra. But we're still using the Astra in full force here with how we're currently placing the stars into A main for Shroud. If it's going to be support with the Gravwell on top of that too for Zelsis. But here comes the execute towards the A site, and that's Shroud holding towards the A main. This is off, of course, a couple of pistols coming in though from the Guard, just trying to at least get a plant down.
Find you.
That was also the Nightfall coming off of Dapper to get all of that information for Sentinel. So this is going to make things a little bit hard for the Guard to get some economy in from a plant.
It looks like the algorithm shot him in the face for a second. There's a few more frags coming in for Sentinels. Oh my word. Guard tried to just pull something out of their pocket there, and it absolutely rolled over. Sentinels with a pretty nice read. Like you said, Dapper on the ultimate to make sure that there isn't really anything to mess with. Make the round not even close. 7-0-8. He's actually been having a great series so far. Fragging out pretty hard and holding his own in situations. We already, if we recall the B round in Breeze where he held back, got 2 frags, which allowed the team to get Nightfall. Just, he seems to be in that range where he's not ready to make a mistake today, and he's making the right decisions everywhere. It's really helping Sentinels out. Guard for the timeout, Vance. The rounds that slipped away from him are, but what if? Right? What if that didn't dink through the wall on Dapper? It's the bonus doesn't go. Another round doesn't fold over. So it's not like you get to say that and come back. You have to figure out what to do now because Sentinels isn't going to make it any easier. A few ultimates coming online here for the Guard. Trent probably could get a Nightfall out if they encroach on enough space and get in the face of Sentinels. But early timeouts twice now for Guard here. One of them was after their round win, but it seems like they're having trouble getting through Sentinels.
Well, that's it. Getting trouble getting through Sentinels on A main on top of that. So I think where they had some strengths from the Guard was actually forcing 10s away from mid, forcing the TPs out, and getting that fake on mid to force 10s off the rotation off tree. But when they do that and still lose the fights towards A main, the position from Zelsis and from Shroud are very, very hard to deal with. So I feel like maybe a Gelato late lurk or something like that could work things out. After actually this timeout, it's a paranoia to push through, and Sire player dashes forward to be able to get that headshot onto Zelsis. So a great way to actually adapt back into this aggressive A side that Shroud and Zelsis have been doing towards that A main. So the great timeout after all. But this is still going to be one of those stalemates where a little bit of utility was used to get control of that, but not much into map map control gained,
right,
if I can put it that way here for the guard.
So we keep an eye now on the conversion. This 5v4, Saya player is able to get, and he stays alive this time. Because a lot of the time we saw that, you know, Saya player breaks that distance and nobody can trade with him on the frag. Maybe this time, Asher's, sorry, 4v4 coming up. They will be able to get a little more positioning. At least the knowledge is there, but here comes the initiator utility.
That was huge. Off the C's and the fragment and a push from Trent. Coming in hard for the guard after this timeout, and that's going to be the plant on a 4 versus 1. With the economy looking pretty strong here for Sentinels, you could definitely go in to make it expensive here for the guard, and you could count on tens to maybe try to get 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So the attempt, justifiable here.
It's nice. They clean this up, helping out the 5v4 conversion statistic for them. And that was a great pressure, too, especially in a round where Saya does get a frag. He is actually the next one to frag again, right? He was the one to push out as we get 10s on 1. He called it. VALORANT will stop that, though, in its tracks. But yeah, Saya still with, what, 30 HP, was the first to peak. They keep in order what they're supposed to do with this composition, and they follow up accordingly. And we saw guard just pile in after Saya did finally go down. So really nicely done in keeping their strategy in line, right? It's very easy to get deterred from it, but they're not letting Sentinels do that.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get to, too, as you see the rotation coming out from the guard is Sentinels playing it on the A site. If you lose control of one side, you can push forward in the rest. So pushing 2 players inside A main, you're leaving up tree, but the position that you gain from A main allows you to play the retake a little bit better. And I like how the guard rotated back to Cat and used utility to actually deny the aggressive pushes from Sentinels after losing A main. So nice little chess match on that previous round. This round here, very, very slow. The Haunt not spotting them out as it was thrown out by Dapper to get control on mid and information. But this still allows Tens to push forward with this operator.
A game of one ways and stars being played over towards A still. You see the change up of Net's positioning. Mentioning that from B towards mid. Turrets can be able to grab a bit of info. Oh. Operator in the smoke. TP out. First.
Gun!
Ooh, the quick trade, though.
The triple walk into a smoke. I love it. And the spray back through the cloud burst, but the Nightfall coming out on the attack. It does actually see Shazam with this Odin just trying to ADS down for only 1 kill. But these are looking really good, at least on both ends. Immediately, the null command gets dropped, so we have a 2 versus 1. Shroud looking for the fake res, looking back towards our front of the site. Going for the real one to swing out, and that's Trent with the kill. Very well done. Good patience by the guard, and not going immediately for the plant, just trying to make sure that they get the kill. And that's 2 rounds now on the attack for the guard.
Clean play. I think just be collected was one of the, probably not one of the things said, it's speculation, but just collect yourselves a little bit more by the guard. Plays don't have to be made immediately. Make sure your teammates are there to crossfire. Obviously, Trent doing what he has to do in a situation, but it seems like they're just much more confident about their peaks. Being down a player isn't stopping the guard here. It's really good to see that the game hasn't shifted their mentality at all. Sentinels have been pretty aggressive, have been trying to gain the space. Guards still want it first. And here we see that win finally, right? Yeah. They're like, no, A space is ours. We're taking this. Stop smoking it. They actually put 4 members there immediately, and now they control that orb. They'll back up and start to go back to what they were doing in mid.
Still a stack of numbers, though, for Sentinels towards this A site, because we have this duel to false from Tens that's locking up the B main. Meanwhile, though, as we give that up for Sentinels into the A main site, you still have that crossfire there. So the guards are still going to try to play this very cautiously, waiting for potentially the other Haunt to come back up here for Trent, while they do have a knife ready to potentially try to stop this duel to false out towards B main.
Another smoke mid. VALORANT has 1 for sight. Decide to use it. Quick prowler towards 10. So get a call out and get a double lean over, actually. Now 3 members of Sentinels at B. Orb grabbing left and right here.
Yeah,
comes out.
And as the orb gets picked up, that's an immediate null command coming out from Jonah P to take the B site. So Dapper, first headshot there with the Sheriff, but that stops him right there. VALORANT trades it out. We have a site open for the guard. The res coming out too. So it's going to be back on a 5 versus 4. But we talked about ultimates, so the op is still available for Tens. We still have a Cosmic Divide, but at this point, with all of them funneling out towards the spawn, it's going to have to be off utility and the Stinger hopefully to do much here for Zelsis.
He has to get by the one-way. Lane is the only fight he can take actually coming down. It's unfortunate because it does create the longer range.
0 point from Jonah T, spotted a few, so we know that we're committed to try to stop and contain the guard into the site off this pulse plant. And that's the plan. We never really wanted to go for the defuse in the first place. We just want to make it pricey. It works out for all of these kills. Good for 3 overall. And that's Trent continuing to build up kills after kills that we wanted Trent to do as well. And that we know Trent for. And Trent has had those rounds where he's played a lot of Sova in the past, but I'm liking so far that we're fighting back and getting these numbers on a fade. Nightfall ready into this round, and also 1 round away of tying things up when they have the harder side of Ascent here, Riv.
Right, it's not just the agent. I mean, you get the same stuff out of Fade that you kind of do out of Sova, but still seems comfortable just railing heads and taking rounds for the team. 4-3 here, a little closer to start off than we had on Breeze. Guard seem to be online right now. We'll see what they can produce for round 8. Sentinels getting a bit of a push into B main for the first time here, a little bit deeper rather. They have had peeks and checks.
Bring them down.
But this will be the extremity check that they usually aren't doing. Mid's been left open a lot of the time. 1 round, Guard was able to test that, but they haven't decided if it's going to be another cat.
Tree control, Nightfall right away, and a nice little smoke too, just to try to take control of Tree for the Guard. But that is going to slow things down at the same time, because that was also a detriment to not allow the Guard to get through. Potentially maybe go for an underhand throw through that smoke, but there was a lot of utility that was thrown back from Sentinels.
It's wild. Look at what Sentinels feel comfortable playing. Shroud is not moving. He is ready to play a double spot there, crossfire into sight, but he goes down on a trade. Now they have to consider what they can do. No controller on that side.
That was a nice little double swing out
Spawn.
Outside of the Cloudburst too. Zelt's down, Shazam off the rotation. And this continues to be just nice from both of these teams. The pushing coming through, it's well read by Sentinels, but the trade comes out immediately. I just love this until this happens. Ten's pushing towards the B main, looking for the 3rd kill, and he's going to get the headshot there on the Valen. Lock it down here for the Sentinels.
Oh, a little bit of a fumble there. Tens.
That's a cast of curse.
Absolutely cleaning up and realizing the situation. I mean, there's an arming time for the bot as well. Tens knowing well. I mean, Tens would fire through a flash there if it was on the screen before he would try to rendezvous away. So the alarm bot's not going to scare him. Yeah, really well played there. Just simple, kind of knew he could shoot. And a bit of a misplay by Guard. That will haunt them coming into that round because they had positioning and they had numbers. A quick 3K by Tens. Turns the game into Sen's favor here. Still a bit of a buy for Guard. And they have some money in their pocket, so not too bad.
Blade Storm 2 available for Saya player and trying to initiate for him for mid control. As after the timing of the haunt from Dapper, we've already immediately pushed out and looking for this mid to be split. But once again, it's still Tens holding the other end with a Vandal in front of B main.
Enemy tag.
Drone out. The B main control has been a little bit more apparent here from Sentinel in the last few rounds, but goes Saya player. Great chaos created by the Guard.
Yeah, a little bit of a bad placement off the rendezvous points, allowing Trent to get a 2nd kill there onto Shazam. And there's the first, I mean, this is the first lockdown I think that I've seen this half coming out here from Trent, and that allows here at least for the Guard to play the pulse plan, and already Sentinel's going to fall back into the A site to save. Nicely
done, and this is actually what the Guard needs. Even though they have money, a lot of Breeze was plagued with them being just shut down on economy. So if they can build this up, keep the players in, that's much, much better. They don't have to be dropping people. So 5-3 here as we get into round 9. Middle of the map, starting to get pressured a little bit. That was a pretty funky round from the Guard. The strategies they're coming out with here, a little bit different. I think it'd be credit to the assistant coach they added, Keeper at After Masters, who comes in with kind of unconventional strats, you could say. And that might have been one of the ones that they rolled the dice on. Nicely done. Them pushing through spawn was really able to get the trades. Who does that? They do. Who does that?
And I could maybe see Ten's head that rendezvous point there because they had some sort of positioning that maybe market should have been covered by somebody else here from that switch to allow Tens to get the top position to look back towards B main. But again, when you're gonna have to play a timing against side players' dashes, it's not gonna be as easy to TP and flick right away for the kill. So understandable that that mistake kind of happened, but that's great for the guard to narrow down that lead that Sentinels has built like they did on Breeze. But once again, we have a close game early. Hunter Spirit to come out, and that pings up to one.
That's clean.
Pings up a second one, but no kills. At least good information.
Oh, that's a hell of a lot of damage right there.
Yeah.
Already took basically a player out of the game, but still they stand as it's sorted across the members of the guard. How much does it slow them down, right? They're holding back pretty far. They're playing a generic strat with their KJ, and that's just going to hold the B tiles, but they're initiators on that side this time, so it becomes difficult. It's all up to Jonah P to get them in if they decide to go A. Prowler towards B main, and Sentinels have some great reads here. They've pushed B main the first few rounds. This time it's just a Prowler, and they are stacked towards Spike side right now.
0 point spotted 2 on the attack, at least holding, at least spotted 2 defenders as they threw to 0 point on the attack, courtesy of Jonah P. But it's still going to be the guard looking to push back towards the A main. Potentially be a Nebula or a Gravwell. It's going to be a Nebula instead. Paranoid doesn't hit him, so Shroud has open season into the back of hell, but unfortunately as Saya's dancing inside the Cloudburst, Shroud falls. Now though we answer back, Tens with the Guardian, the first headshot. Shot darts coming in, Spike down now for the guard on the pulse plant. 2 players playing towards hell as Jonah P falls. Dapper goes for the 180 and another 180 again on the Trent. Now the Nightfall just to secure the deal. The last position, as you see now, the Nanoswarm getting thrown, double of them coming down, but it's still a 3 versus 1. Very difficult for Net to come back across, and as he comes through, that's greeted by Tens with another Guardian, holding down the A main, and also allowing Tens to get the duel to false in the next.
Deja Vu Dapper, same spot, behind Jenny, a quick 3K, instantly smothering the guard. Like you said, rest of it picked up there by Tens and the Guardian. It's so funny that he loves to pick that up, and he'll usually get a frag on each round too. It works. Yeah, it works.
I mean, you're a chamber. You could headshot with a headhunter, aim for the head with that gun. You have it a tool to false, one-shot kill. Why not go for a Guardian on top of that, which is basically a headhunter too if you're hitting landing the heads.
Just clicking once, why not? Why not? Yeah. There it is again.
Tens is a player that could do that.
6-4. Remember, we got a 7-5 first half on Breeze. These teams still testing each other greatly on Ascent. That Paranoia is exactly what got Garden from that cap side last time through Tree. Here it's used quite early, and they aren't able to get too close of their own on an archway shot into A.
Yeah, but no kill still allows them for the orb, allowing the null command to come out here on the attack. Zelson's dancing around, but it's still going to be the guard opening it up towards the A site. Dapper's going to have to try to go for a hero play, trying to spray through the smokes, but the door's just going to close instead. An early 5-on-3 with a plant going down for the guard. We still at least have Sentinels already and propped up here, 2 towards the garden. Prowler clearing out towards Cat, so they could gamble now to just push in from the door, not having to look back towards their backs. They could go for the double swing if they want to. But Jonah P's around the corner. Leg now spotted as he gets the headshot onto Trent. Dapper answers back onto Jonah P, but it's still a player advantage going out for the guard on the post plant. Ends with the op, with that ult, looking back towards that B main. More lineups being thrown here by Net. Delaying that clock, turret now up. Things are looking good at least. Oh, maybe not for that one though. Shrouded step, punished by Tens, and Saya player lines up the last 2 kills. And that is the guard, making it 1 round away of tying things up on the first half.
Doing a really great job of being able to pressure into these sites, using that utility to at least get a few frags. Knowing where Shroud has been playing in the site, I think, is helping them at least, or they've stopped smoking as much towards A main. I think we've noticed maybe guard are activating too fast, or just between when Shroud's been able to get into those. But they've been able to really encroach past what would be gravity wells, get themselves in. You see the pings again of which way they may want to go, or what they might be facing if they do want to get to the site. Early defensive 0 point smokes stars on this A spot just to hold down that alt orb.
Okay. He did his job. Net was trying to look for that push, fights back for that one, but that forces a Nightfall on the attack. Nice Paranoia from Valen, but it's still a 1-for-1 on both extremities of that map. But now you hear that null command coming out from the defense, and that is going to be Zelsis just trying to slow things down for a bit. And now Dapper's already on the top. Zels is looking to push forward. The battle coming in towards L. You hear the footsteps from Dapper. Dapper gets picked off by Trent. Zels is looking for the overhand flash with a double swing after, but there goes Trent pushing forward, and that's a great kill coming out and a great hold from the guard. And just like that, we have a repetition of Breeze where we have another game in our hands. Let's take a break and see the continuation after that. Over 500,000 viewers are currently watching this game. Hello, Valorant fans, and hopefully you're enjoying this matchup between Sentinels and the Guard, because I, of course, am. We thought, at least at the beginning of both of these maps, that it was just going to be Sentinels running away with their triple initiator comps, but the Guard continue to find a way to fight back after timeouts and great reads coming out from MCE, allowing now the second half just to start on a fresh slate. But it starts aggressive. We have Celsius getting the first blood on the Sia players. They're trying to go for the shark attack into the B-Link.
Super quick start. Holy moly. Quick backup by the Guard. Say, okay, we need to regroup. Sentinels enjoying what they got right there. No need to push. And this is what they do all the time. We saw this on Breeze. They keep back. They're slow. And Sia player to have as your first one is so big. Set up a 2. He's got a 3-1 right now. And it looks like they're actually going to choose right. Sentinels are going to wait this out a little bit more. Expect a lot of this round to go away and be this little excursion to try and pull out a little bit more util. They want to see at least 1 or 2 members of what agents they'll be facing at these sites right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what a
0
fake so far. Zels is almost in the B.
Exactly. 0-point recon dart, but there's still going to be that Killjoy utility towards A main. So that's good delay being set up by Net and allowing this rotation to come back. And Sentinel seems like they just want to focus on taking this A site. But it's a double push up on Catwalk, so Net has a lot into his hands right now, hiding inside that Nebula. And as it dissipates, Elise gets the first kill until he's traded off by Zelsis for another kill coming in for Sentinels. In the back of Jenny, Trent fights back with that frenzy. Long range somehow onto Tent, and this is looking again one of those clean retakes on pistol for the Guard, as now they take the lead in this game.
Feeling good on their pistols. They're able to keep trading this. Dapper last time says it's ours. So from both maps, 1 pistol each for these teams. They seem to trade pretty evenly when it comes to that. Now we'll get, Marshall's on the next round. I'm just going to keep it long range and safe here. Nice cleanup with the frenzy. And they actually had a good lean on this, right? They had a bit of a play towards B. They knew what was happening was basically a fake. They didn't bite on Zelsis showing footsteps or walking towards B, so the Guard had really good comms on that to make sure they were clean. 3 towards A to start this one off as they switch where Net's playing here for round 2. He's at B with all of his utility.
It's going to be one of those rounds where it could get very hectic too, because you're looking at a lot of firepower in Sentinel's lineup versus a bunch of Spectres in close range battles being set up by the Guard. You see that they're edging and closing in on the defense just to try to close up on mid. They do spawn a little bit of retaliation coming out from the Sentinels out towards Pizza. It's going to stay quiet here, Riv. We're really just trying to punish the Guard on mistakes off rotations. Tens is already posted up, ADSing down towards the Headhunter to watch towards spawn.
See him. He's hungry. It's not jet play anymore. He's got to wait for people to come to him usually. He gets antsy in these situations, but he usually makes the shot. We'll see. It's 0 point over towards kitchen market rather, as they get themselves to safety.
Oof.
A lot in the back of the site here. This is up to Trent. And that's just on the other side. And it looks like Sentinels want it, but it's so slow down this lane side. Side player is going to start off on 10 like that.
30 seconds left.
Looking good for the rest of the Guard. Crossfire towards that back of the B side, and there you go. I mean, at that point, you were hoping that Tens could actually get a pick towards this mid, because you could have a really late rotation back towards the A site. After that TP, trying to work up towards tree. And as, of course, as you saw it, Riv, when he lost that fight, it was just, okay, let's full commit towards the B side to get a plant down. So, great way for the Guard to actually go into a bonus round where they still have some really good SMGs and figure out what they could do with this. I mean, Sia player is still deciding if he wants to go with a Marshall or not in this mid hold. He's going Vandal. There we go, back to Marshall.
Easy Marshall. He's actually at quite a few shots on Breeze on it, so he's feeling comfortable. Keep the money down, maybe get an operator as soon as possible. We saw double operator being a defense on Breeze. Won't see double, but may see him trying to pull one of these out and play mid in later rounds, as we see with the Marshall here. Rotator lean coming in from Jonah P. It looks like they'll keep him on well watch. He's just jumping in the back of spawn right now. And Sentinels continue now to keep this composition spread. Much different than the triple initiator we saw them play on Breeze. Smoluz has now one of the initiators on Lurk. This time it's going to be Shazam and his Saya player, his tempting fate here. Just to give an idea for Trent to get a frag.
That was so close because you saw that dark cover come out too to try to save Trent so he can fall back into the B main. But at least we're still trying to delay with the smokes being thrown out on the defense, so they only lose one player in the process. Updraft coming out from Slayer player, trying to get a Marshall kill, but that doesn't get any kills yet. Both make that all of Sentinels rotating back and looking to rotate towards the A site, where once again, we're seeing why this Killjoy is still very useful for this composition of the guard.
It is big.
It's a full lockdown for net.
30 seconds
Use that
left.
utility, still some insight. They have to get by being detected. This gives the rotation time. That's the important part. No fight is what Net wants right now. He's waiting for the team. They're waiting for the retake.
And delay as they're moving into the site with 14 seconds left on the clock. The plant only starts now, so this gives the opportunity for that retake to happen. Potentially a double flank, but Valen decides otherwise, moving with the rest of the team on the top of Heaven, and a late lurk from Net back towards to cover mid, and then they're going to try to retake and re-hit together. Nice, a little 0 point coming out at least from Jonah P. That's going to ping a couple of players down towards Hell. A smoke towards the front. The Paranoia misses though, and that's going to be a great position at least for the Sentinels at Hell to get all of these kills. But Jonah P answers back for 3 kills. The backstab from Zelsis after all. Finally, a Sentinel stops that bleeding on that retake from the guard, but that is 3 kills on a bonus round for the guard.
Sentinels doing a good job of staying alive. It did get a little messy towards the end. Guard doing themselves a good job of getting that money they need. There's the operator we were talking about, now in the hands of Saya player. That's what the Marshall buy was for. You see that utility towards the back top side. 0 points had already been used at this point, so there's a bit of an idea of what space was being played, which is why I think it made it so easy for Sentinels to be able to get in and find the shots they needed without second guessing what was going to be aiming at them. Peek here? No. A quick smoke onto Cat. So they deny any peeks there and maybe get a bit of mid control after, and that's going to be Shazam at the top of mid, making sure they have a call on what's happening. KJ Utilities switch back over to B here for the guard fans. They continue to keep Sentinels guessing, and I think Sentinels is doing a pretty good job at getting close enough, figuring out if they might be dealing with Net's utility, and then figuring out what would be the easiest course of action.
Yeah. Keep those audio cues coming up. If you hear a flash coming out towards the A site and you know that there's a dark cover for a one-way on the A site, then there's strong chances that you flipped-flopped the rotations and positioning here of that Killjoy. And now going back into a one-way towards A main, Valen's watching it from Heaven. And a knife doesn't get information on Cap, but at least it gives information for the guard where potentially they could focus a lot of crossfires into the A main. That's actually looking at Jonah P and Valen into that A main site.
Bit of a one-way smoke here coming in from Valen. Wait, Shroud's in? That's the rest of the team has to follow.
Saya player lands it onto Zelsis, and Jonah P gets the wall bang onto Shazam, and this is a stronghold for the guard. And you mentioned it, Shroud made it through, so he's able to answer back onto Saya player, but it's basically a 4 versus 2, as he gets pinged out by a Haunt, and that's a beautiful wall bang by Trent. That's some great stuff that we'd like to see. Tens by himself, first headshot, connects onto Net. And we're looking for that double swing, but there's basically no time. This is a round coming in for the guard, and somehow he gets a kill point blind on a Trent, but it's still the round for the guard.
It seemed like a bit of miscom there, just on the entry, right? As soon as they went to hit, Sentinels was actually hit with a bit of utility they weren't expecting, so as Shroud was able to make it, everybody else wasn't. It was kind of like a jet going forward and the team can't close deal. After that, your smoker's in sight who really wants to provide cover for the rest of the team and doesn't have angles covered. So guard taking big advantage of that. Nicely done to keep themselves in position there and not do too much rotating. They again switch the Killjoy play to keep Sentinels guessing. The Sheriff play for Sentinels. This may be fast towards B. It looks like they'll keep it slow and look for some long-range shots. A 3-2 defense played here by the guard. Looks like Valen just continues to set up one ways at least towards A. They keep doing that precedent, even if there were a Sentinels player there or not.
And Aries now for Trent, or Sliggy likes to call it a res, I think. Not too sure.
The Erez.
Yeah, what's the conversation, Sliggy, around that?
Yeah. Question.
That said, though, this is an eco coming out for Sentinels, just trying to see and try to get information at least for the defense. But I just wanted to get back to that before.
Yeah.
That ping that we saw from the Haunt out from Trent to get that wallbang kill onto Shroud before is one of the things that I like to see, because Trent was also kind of known to do these Aldrone wallbangs too. So I like that he would do this on a different agent as well, being the Fae, getting as much value onto this agent as he would on a Sova.
Great damage on a Dapper there. See a little crossfire between the operator and that. Real hard to be able to get past that defense. Tour de force now peeking cat, looking for a shin, looking for anything.
30
And
seconds
not
left.
gonna get it. Maybe some toes. These one-ways are a great job of slowing down Sentinels, but I'm not sure that's what stops them. Being slow on Breeze was how Sentinels gained a lot of their rounds.
Yeah.
Guard doing what they can to create the one-ways, but it seems like Sentinels will wait it out and still get to push through. Shroudy first again.
Underhand throw being thrown out here, but that blinds up both players onto the card. And we made it through, but there's only 6 seconds. Spike is out down, and that's not going to help too much. Once again, another one of those situations where Tens is going to be by himself with no time left on the clock. And despite Net not being able to get any of these nanoswarms popped off on tree, it's still good enough here for the guard to get ready for the push from Sentinels.
Oh yeah, being able to basically have things in order, fail safes. The guard seems to have been setting up where Net is really, really well with that. And while it was a question, right? How much does KJ shut down, or sorry, KO shut down Killjoy now? It's like, how much does Killjoy really alter the map unless they're popping off? So I don't think we've seen much between that battle, if there was any to be had. Guard happy, pumped, fist bumps around. 10-7 here as they look to bring us to Icebox, our final map on this best of 3 series to start off the NALCQ. And we'll see how this one goes. Sentinels called a timeout. They've been able to break kind of the surface defense of what Guard is setting up. They, again, haven't been working too much mid. Just like Breeze, they're working left, they're working right on the extremities. But, again, this time they have a bit of a flank. They're usually working 2 players off, whether it be Dapper and Zelsis or Dapper 10, something like that. And it seems like they're trying to get more and more info out of Guard, but they're not allowing that game to happen anymore. They were read so quickly, and it seemed like downloaded early on Breeze before they adapted to that Sentinel strategy. Here, they're being very close to the chest with how they're defending, where they're defending, and Sentinels aren't having as easy as a time getting into sites.
Now the storyline, at least now for the guard, is that they're actually able to get a lot of value out of these 5 versus 4s, getting the first blood and converting them into wins. It was quite low going into stage 2, and now currently looking to be at top of like the 70s, 80%. And it's all off, just again, the utility that they have on the defense for the guard. If it's not going to be on the Killjoy utility, it's still that KO smoke combo that works out quite well. And finally, as we get a first blood now in favor of Sentinels, that's a player falling on mid for the guard, and that opens up a lot of that map opportunity to control for Sentinels as they're leading towards this B site.
Great little adaptation there by Sentinels. They were able to identify that it was Saya player that was out and in the open alone, but now this B is coming in, so forget about that.
The Nightfall also to ping out Valen inside that site. Cosmic Divide on the attack, but you don't need to be death if you see them right in front of you. That's 3 kills for Valen right now. A 2 versus 2. Valen looking for the 4th. Connects onto that one as well. And Shroud on a 2 versus 1. Let's see what you got here, Shroudy. Nothing at all. As Net seals the ace, but you want that round if you're the guard.
Yeah, Net in that last kill. Really well played in the beginning by Sentinels. Your guard wins the round, but the identifying Saya player was kind of out and scattered, so a lot of crossfires set up in mid. Obviously, somebody's going to help him, and that was a first kill for Sentinels. Saving grace. Valen in sight. Holy crap. 4K coming up real quick. Able to completely shut down the 5v4 conversion that Sentinels was looking for, and that's exactly the round that Guard wants to put up, having this type of lead on Sentinels. Puts them back down in the econ. Stinger buy on Sheriff buy. Sentinels are going to have a hard time finding frags here as, again, the Guard are playing back in the sites. Tough to get to. Saya player all the way down mid with an operator to start.
Hey, extremities don't work, let's try mid. Nope, Saya's there with a knob. So that's an early 5 versus 4, but a eco for Sentinels trying to get inside the B side for a plant. Trent holding the back of B with an Odin. Saya trying to go for some blind picks through the smoke. But it's still going to be just a great hold. Put 2 players in the back on top of that. And now as we're forcing from the lockdown players to push towards the spawn, it's greeted by Shorty, it's greeted by Molly, and now the guard are 1 kill away of looking to lock down Ascent to force us to a 3rd map. But it's the op shot that gets a miss, but still Trent comes in with the Odin. We might see this 3rd map in a series, and I wouldn't want it any other way, Riv.
Neither would I. Everybody's stepping up that needs to there. Saya player able to come up with a big frag. We saw some from Jonah P there. Both of them, Saya and Jonah, account for 50% of the first duels coming into LCQ for the guard. So you'll always see them popping off, and they keep true to that. Saya with a big opening frag on that last round to help them bring it to match point. A lot of big plays all around. Valen stepping up too here. Star power showing through in the 2nd map for the guard, and the reason they held the top spot in NA. A glimmer of that being shown to us right now. Looks like we're going to get a quick pause on this.
I'm okay for that pause. We need a breather. We need a breather to also explain or try to show and demonstrate, as finally on the scoreboard, Steven, Trent's at 25 and 11. On this map so far, and I know he's put up some great numbers on the 1st map as well, being at 28 and 18 in that double overtime. So I just want to tie this in onto that 4K that Valen had before here, Riv, because that's one of those moments where after that 4K, you saw from the players' reaction that they just stood up and started screaming, feeling that heat, feeling the vibes, and it's the good old guard that we had from stage 1 that we didn't see too much during stage 2, and I'm loving this resurgence of the guard, especially against the Sentinels matchup, where the last time that these two played against each other, this was like a 13-1 on that 2nd map in the series for the guard, and they just basically thrashed Sentinels in that series.
Exactly. It's kind of that nothing can break this vibe feeling you see in them every time you get the cams, every time they're making plays, even if they're down in members, you're like, well, they could still do it. That is coming back a little bit because it was a gusto that was very much lost for them, and kind of Sentinels too, right? The guard we saw playing continuous compositions. They still had a few that they played since March, which would easily be downloaded by other teams. While those compositions might work, you can't really make them work if a team knows exactly how you're going to use it. So guard will call a timeout after this, using their time efficiently to make sure they can solidify this last round, probably holding a few alts unless they know they'll necessarily secure it, so they can have a fail-safe for the rounds to come. But looking to close it out here. That operator, again, has been such a pivotal point for the guard to convert rounds, whether it be on Breeze in our 1st map or here on Ascent. That's been something that we see the guard going to very frequently. Right back into it.
Couple of ults, as you mentioned before here, Null Command and Nightfall available for the retakes. If they want to try to figure out how they want to cycle through this utility and the ultimates for the guard. Saya player with an operator also has Bladestorm, but it's going to be Sentinels taking the 1st step, pushing aggressively towards Tree. That forces out the Null Command from Jonah B, who does get a nice kill onto 10, who is fully blinded towards Tree. A swing out from Wine that doesn't amass for a kill, so we're trying to fight back. We're clawing back here for Sentinels. They're at a player disadvantage, but all split up across the map. But here comes the Hunter's Fury on the attack, allowing this push forward from Dapper, but it's not even needed. Shazam gets a double kill with the Hunter's Fury. A player advantage going back into the Sentinels, but Dapper lurks in to make it a 3 versus 1. Now Saya player with this operator and the Bladestorm available if he wants to. Just trying to see if it could catch one off guard as the plant only comes in now.
Planted.
This is tough.
Yeah. I mean, he has that flank being watched. You don't really have to peek that much, and just because of like 5 simple seconds that went down off that spike, you now see Saya player opting to save his weapon.
I was going to be pretty amazed if he actually tried to go for that. He was walking forward with confidence. Only W keys to be pressed, but he did find the S key. Turns himself around, and he heads back towards B. Saving the operator. Bladestorm is there as well. So if he gets himself into a tight situation, he can make this work. I don't know. They're not going to go hunting. So Sentinels pick up a pretty clean round. You can see most of the action there coming through tree. It has been how Sentinels have wanted to fight these situations, making sure they either get the smoke or a full fight with somebody in tree. The one-way smokes have not been something they want to deal with at the A main area unless it's just kind of for the post-plant retake. But again, here you see the push through right up the gut with Hunter's Fury, and it makes it so hard to defend this position. And Shazam knows that, especially this late in the round with how Sentinels, again, try to read the rotations. The timing was there.
Yeah, and even Dapper eating one pulse off his teammate's Hunter's Fury to break the timing off the rotation back from Trent with that Odin. So this is some very nice scaling from Sentinels going into understanding where the positioning was from the guard in that mid-round. This round, though, was... We had that timeout previously from the guard. We couldn't close it out, but thankfully we still have a lot of utility and economy, rather, and a Nightfall still available. Slayer player trying to go through the smoke, dashes away, couldn't get the kill, and pulls out a Blade Storm. But mid control, under slight control, as Trent plays the off angle. First kill onto Zelsis. Updraft coming out in 10, swings out with the Vandal running gun to make it a 4-on versus 4.
The smoke there just denying the angle those two wanted to use to actually have a crossfire. 10's approaching it perfectly to get his frag. Now in the 4v4, it looks like they will start to pressure a bit towards that left side, and this is one of the only times we've seen Sentinels try to work towards mid. Taking down Trent's going to be a huge one because he has been so pivotal in being able to shut down these site takes. B is going to be the idea as Shroud prepares the stars.
That's no Nightfall for the retake too, so you're hoping that those daggers are going to refresh from side player with him landing as many shots of the Blade Storm as he can, because he's going to be by himself in the site. The Paranoia is already wasted by Shroud in the back. First op shot connects, but it gets traded out instantly by Shroud. And that's a plant coming down now for Sentinels, and we're still far away for the rotate for the guard.
Spike planted.
Going to be a pretty far rotate from Jonah P. Looks like they'll hold on the exits here, at least for now. Jonah P's movement super slow towards towers. That's the only way I would think that. But no, they're going to be entering the site. Valen at least wants these frags. Jonah's going to have to move a little bit faster if they really want to use all the utility correctly.
You're happy that Tens is still alive because that forced Jonah P to break that trademark. So he has to give his position away. It's a 2 versus 1. Both players from Sentinels holding in the back of the site. A switch of weapons and also a switch in terms of decisions, not trying to go for that 2 versus 1, and we're saving our gun into the next. We're going to try to fight again, but as I talk about ultimates that are still available, let's keep an eye out on that Nightfall from Trent.
See if he can use it. Nice job by Sentinels there, encroaching, getting onto the site, but making sure that they're doing it without really having to take fights, right? And if they do, there's multiple members to answer onto that fight. We saw as soon as Sayatip player took a shot, he was shot. That's why he was tagged and couldn't get out of that situation, right? He had already dashed backwards from what we saw in mid. So it actually is incredible that they were able to find him again in one of their first engages to be able to take that operator out. Sentinels are doing a really good job of feeling out the map. They're going to probably meet a little bit of defense here coming out of B main. Guard for the first time trying to get a hold of their own extremities. And different one-ways being thrown now towards A. It's like the Prowler just gets shot out here, and Trent is aware that it's going to be Dapper on the other side. Roll command.
Broken early. This is a fake right now for Zelsis. It's just unloading right now as they're moving back up towards tree. Haunt now spotting net towards that mid on that garden. And Zelsis, as he runs away, still gets a kill onto Jonah P. This is a great start now for Sentinels to get back into the A site. As they tried to cross over before, they're always stopped by this garden. At least we're able to get into the site this time for Sentinels, and it might be another one of those situations where we might have to save here. Sire player breaking at least the trademark out towards B main, but look at that, they're just playing back towards spawn.
Vansili.
I mean, you have a 5-round cushion, Riv.
I honestly start to get flashbacks of how Sentinels were able to basically start to control the game when on their game point for their opponents. How they started to change their play style that it looked like, why didn't they bring this out before? And again, they have this method where they're basically getting in and one player of the guard is down and the guard is saving. Right, it's literally surgical for these last few rounds where the guard can't use the operator, can't use a few ultimates. You said, Trent, let's watch that Nightfall. Can't get that usage in still because of how Sentinels is playing, guarding themselves, and prepping the defense as they're moving forward too. A 5v4 goes stale on that one, but goes in favor of Sentinels, bring it within 2. Game point still for the guard. They're right there to tip this one over and get us into Icebox.
Oof. This is getting very, very interesting, definitely, in this matchup. And this is not, as you mentioned here, Riv, one of the first times that we see Sentinels being able to play comeback games. As you were talking about, hey, the good old Sentinels is like, oh yeah, this brings me flashbacks of Sentinels versus 100 Thieves, and probably flashbacks from Hiko when you had 10s get that 3K onto Haven. I know you're watching here, Hiko, and sorry to bring that back to you. But now Sentinels are 2 rounds away to force another overtime into this game. Economy's still good for the guard, but it's quick for Sentinels inside the B site. Dapper somehow flicks into the kill onto Trent. Back of the site now is going to be Net. Being hit by Concuss from that Nova Pulse. Net is trying to stay alive in the back. Nice flash coming out because Zelstis was full blinded from that. The swing out from Tens, and Net was still ready off that kill. And that's off that dark cover coming out, and Net is just holding down towards the back of the site. I can't believe this is happening. What a hole right now from Net and the rest of the guard in the back of the B site. And we are going to a third map.
I'm so ready for this third map. I feel like Icebox is the one that kind of could really sort out how these